Yeah. Okay. I apologize for our tardiness. We were having a meeting prior and we were just a little bit late, so sorry about that. Thank you for being here. And we're just waiting. Wade will be here in just a second, and that'll give us a minute to pull this up. Yes, sir. Oh. Display adapter. Okay. Thank you. We'll call that our reason we're late. How about that? Okay. Okay. So we don't have a display up here, but I'll go through the agenda. We're going to call this meeting to order. Hit the gavel. I don't like the gavel, but it seems kind of, yeah, I won't miss that. Thank you for being here. I'm Julie Taylor. I'm currently president of Box Elder School Board, and we call this meeting to order. We're going to begin by having a reverence by Wade Hyde, and then I will lead us in the flag salute, Pledge of Allegiance, and then Wade Hyde will do our recognitions.
Before I do the reverence, sometimes we start off with a little thought. And when I was an elementary school principal, I used to have this program called Project Wisdom. Danielle I was her principal at one time, so maybe she remembers this, I'm not sure. Anyway, it was a wonderful program called Project Wisdom, and I would give a little thought every morning. And at the end of the thought, I would say, with something to think about, this is Mr. Hyde, make it a great day or not, the choice is yours. And I still have 40-year-olds come up to me and said, Mr. Hyde, make it a great day or not, the choice is yours. So they have remembered. But anyway, here's a nice thought I thought was good, especially since we're starting the new school year. In the new January, a new year, and we're all starting a new year. This is poet Maya Angelou says, each new hour holds new chances for new beginnings. In other words, we always have it in our power to start again, to make a new beginning, whether we turn over a new leaf at school, make a fresh start with a friend or relative, or decide to get physically fit. Each hour of each day, we can make new choices and begin again. Ask yourself this, what in my life needs a fresh start? Then remember, there are always new chances for new beginnings. I thought that was a nice way to start January this year at our board meeting. Okay, now we'll say the reverence. Our dear Heavenly Father, we're very grateful to be here at board meeting this evening, and we pray that Thou will bless us this night as a board, that we will make the best decisions possible for the students and families and staff members and teachers and all employees and members of our district. May we be able to listen and hear all that is being said to us as we start this new year. And may we always do those things which are best for all involved. We thank Thee for being able to serve and do public service. And we're thankful for Thy wonderful blessings, and ask that Thou will be with us at this meeting this night, and also be with us as we journey home after the meeting, that we will all be saved. We love and thank Thee, and we say these things now in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have a number of recognitions tonight. So many people are doing wonderful things in the district, and we like to recognize them every month. Do we have Officer Peter Gilchrist here? Okay, anyway, we'll make sure that he gets this, but we just wanted to honor Officer Gilchrist tonight. I had 3 individuals email us. He's just done a super job, and I'd like you to read these 3 individuals and tell you that the types of things that he does as our student resource officer here in the Box Elder School District. Assistant Superintendent Heidi Jo West and Principal Mark Taylor and Assistant Principal Todd Barrow emailed these thoughts to us about Officer Gilchrist. Heidi Jo West said, Officer Gilchrist has been wonderful to work with. He has attended safe school meetings while providing valuable input and support. His involvement in our schools has had a positive impact on safety and security of students and teachers. Principal Mark Taylor stated, Peter is always stopping in and checking on us and thinking of ways to help keep our schools safe. We appreciate him and highly recommend him to be recognized for his efforts. Assistant Principal Todd Barrow stated, I have worked with Officer Gilchrist for 3 years. During that time, I have been truly grateful to have him walking our halls and greeting students and teachers. Even when he's not at our school, he's always quick to respond whenever the need arises. So the Box Elder Board of Education would like to express our appreciation to Officer Peter Gilchrist for his hard work and dedication, and we appreciate all that he does to keep the students and teachers and staff members safe in the Box Elder School District. Okay, is Coach Robbie Gunter here?
He is at a wrestling match.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Jesse Roberts made this recommendation for recognition for Coach Robbie Gunter, and it's well-deserved. Mr. Roberts stated that Robbie Gunter was named the KSL Sports 5A Coach of the Year. His team compiled an awesome 9-4 record. They went further in the playoffs than any other Region 5 team, advancing to the quarterfinals. They beat Highland at home, Provo on the road, and barely lost to an undefeated Lehigh team by 1 touchdown. Lehigh would go on to win the state championship. Many of Coach Gunter's players earned all-region, all-state honors, and Cole Mortensen earned the all-area MVP. One thing about Robbie is he always represents our school with class. He treats his players with respect and expects the best out of them on the field and in the classroom. Being around Robbie for the last 12 years, I rarely see him berate officials or treat anyone with disrespect. He is a great team player and willing to do whatever is asked of him on top of his other responsibilities. And we congratulate Coach Gunter for this wonderful honor. So,
And can I just say, I have a son, well, he's only a 9th grader, so he didn't really play directly under Robbie, but he would come to the freshman games and watch those kids, and he was invested in the kids. And I really appreciated that it's not just winning and losing, but he cares about the kids and developing them as people as well. So I really
absolutely,
appreciate him.
you bet.
And also, we don't have Robbie here, but
We have some players
we've
here.
got some players.
Oh, all right.
One of whom you
Okay.
mentioned, Cole.
Cole's right there.
Cole, okay, Cole.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of a big deal.
That is super. That's a really big deal. Thank you.
is a big
Thanks
deal.
for coming, guys. Appreciate that. Okay, it's Melanie Day. I don't think Melanie's here. So anyway, the Box Elder Board of Education would like to thank Melanie for the wonderful Christmas production of Elf the Musical. It was a colorful and tuneful show that included many students showing us their talents and creativity. We appreciate your direction and the efforts of all others that helped to make this production a great way to ring in the holiday season. You could see the happiness and joy on the faces of those in the production as well as those in the audience. We'd like to thank Miss Day for always making sure we are aware of the productions and always willing to get us seats so that we can share in the joy and happiness that you bring to students and audiences at Box Elder High School. So we appreciate Melanie Day for that wonderful production. And I know Randy is here, and so is Assistant Principal Clark Funk. So both from Principal Randy Rasmussen and Assistant Principal Clark Funk from Adele C. Young Intermediate School. This is Jacqueline Whitaker, Behavior Intervention Specialist for the Box Elder School District, emailed the Box Elder Board of Education the following information concerning the positive job you are both doing to improve attendance at Adele C. Young Intermediate School. Ms. Whitaker stated, Randy and Clark have led a campaign to increase attendance at ACYI on attendance data found in Panorama. Now help me, what is Panorama? Can you help me with that? Okay. Brings it all together, okay. Okay, thank you, Randy, thank you. Says Randy and Clark's focus is paying off. Last year's first trimester attendance data showed a 21% compared to the year's first trimester attendance at 52%. That is a significant amount of growth. You only need to look at their emails to parents to see that they continue to positively encourage student attendance. Getting students to attend school is one way these two administrators are ensuring high levels of learning for all students. The Box Elder Board of Education would like to commend both Mr. Rasmussen and Mr. Funk on their hard work and dedication to make sure all students attend school at Adele C. Young Intermediate School. Your efforts are paying off in a positive way. Thank you so much to both of you. Appreciate that. Thank you, gentlemen. And then we have 5 teachers we'd like to recognize from Harris Intermediate School in Tremonton. It is Virginia Spence, Julia Wilcox, Natasha Geddes, Kirsten Julander, and Megan Dunmeyer. Any of them here? Okay. Hey. Oh,
Natasha.
okay. Natasha, thank you for coming, Natasha. We appreciate that. This recognition was given by your principal, David Lee, to the Board of Education, and he stated that each of these amazing language arts teachers spent a significant amount of time this past summer creating materials and organizing our new reading time interventions and extensions that we started with every student at Harris this year. They helped organize and develop materials. They also trained our staff on what they needed to do each day. As a school, we would never have been able to start this new program without these amazing teachers. The Box Elder Board of Education would like to express their appreciation to all of you for the positive things you're doing to promote learning at Harris Intermediate School. So thank you so much, and thanks for being here. And at this time, we would like those individuals that are here, we'd like to shake your hands if you would come. And students, please come as well, because we want to shake your hands. Okay? We'd like to shake your hands and thank you all for coming tonight. And we appreciate all you do on behalf of the Box Elder School District. Don't be shy. Congratulations. Thanks so much. Thanks so much, Randy. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thanks for all you do.
Thanks for what you're doing.
Thanks for all your hard work. Thanks, Randy.
Thank you for your hard work and effort. Thank you.
Thanks for all you
Are you
do.
here for public comment too?
I
Awesome.
think that's what we figured. You guys are here to talk to us, right? Thank you
Hey,
so
my
much.
daughter
Tell your
knows
coach
Cole
good
Morton.
job,
She's in
okay?
seventh grade. She's like, she can do everything. He's like the best. So, she was a big cheerleader. She's into football right now, so. She watched the national champion. She's like totally into football.
Really?
Yeah.
Wasn't much to watch the national.
Oh, no, that was bad. Yeah, she watched the other ones more, actually. Okay, excellent. We loved the recognitions, and Wade, you do such a good job of taking care of that. All right, we're going to move on to our agenda. We need a motion. So we have a motion by Nancy Kennedy and a second by Brian Smith to approve our agenda. And we're just going to start down with Wade, and we just have to all vote yes or no. So-
Okay, Wade Hyde, yes?
Oh, Danielle, you don't vote yet, because, okay. What?
Wade Hyde, yes.
Yeah, Julie
Yes.
Taylor, yes.
Tiffany Summers, yes. Connie Archibald, yes.
Brian Smith, yeah.
Nancy Kennedy, yes.
Okay, we have an approval agenda. And I just want to make note, Karen is not with us tonight. She is not feeling well, so we excuse her and hope she feels better soon. And also Gary Allen is usually with us and is sick, so he's our assistant superintendent over there that stays calm and keeps us grounded. Okay, and we're excited because we have our first item of business is administering the oath of office for our new board member, Danielle Wright. So Dave's gonna come, you get to come down here and,
Danielle has a lot of family here, so you guys get up and take pictures. This is expected.
I'm proud of you all for coming.
He's got a sister and a mom and a dad and a husband and kids and. It's a big deal.
I, Danielle Wright, having been appointed to the office of Box Elder School District Board Member,
Having been appointed to the office of Box Elder School District Board Member,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this state,
and the Constitution of this state,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
and that I will discharge the duties of my office with fidelity.
Awesome. Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dave, and welcome Danielle. Now you're a full voting member, so speak up.
Congratulations, Danielle.
We're excited to have her. Okay, we're gonna move on to our public comment section, and let me just read, while Pete goes and gets the list. Let me read our statement just to give some guidelines of what's going on. So the floor is open at this time for any resident of Box Elder County to address the Board of Education on items pertaining to education and/or the operation of the school district. Participants will be given the opportunity to address the board in the order in which they have signed up. Individual presentations during this segment of the meeting are restricted to a maximum of 3 minutes. Group presentations are restricted to a maximum of 6 minutes. When possible, response to the questions or comments will be provided at this time. If additional study is needed to respond adequately to the questions or comments, the residents will receive a written response as soon as possible. The written response will be read publicly at the next regular meeting of the Board of Education. Due to the rights of privacy of the employees of the district, the Board of Education will not discuss specific employee appointments, employment, or performance at this time. Questions and complaints or charges against particular employees are to be referred to the superintendent for action consistent with law and/or district policies. So, and we have quite a few here today, so I'm excited. I love it when people come. So thank you for being here. So this is the order. First we'll have Daniel Barfus, and then Scott Goodliff, and then I'm not going to read everybody because you might forget. I will. So we'll just go Danielle Barfus, Scott Goodliff, and then Judah Richardson. Is that? We'll do those. Yeah. Okay. We'll do those three, and then we'll go to the next. So and then Tracy Goodliff. Is Tracy Goodliff here? Okay. Maybe those. Are you all here for the same thing? The 3R. I don't know about Judah. Judah, you're not here for. Can I have the Goodliffs? So how about we go Danielle, Scott Goodliff, and Tracy Goodliff, and then Judah. How's that? Does that work? Okay, so Danielle.
Will you just make sure you state your name when you come up?
Yes.
Thank you.
Serves me right. I didn't know that I'd be the first one. It's okay. My name is Danielle Barfus, and I am a parent at Bear River High School. I just wanted to speak regarding the status of the bleachers at the baseball field at Bear River High School. I understand that approval has been given to replace the bleachers, and I just wanted to say thank you. I have parents and in-laws that are in their 80s that like to come to the ball games, and that first step getting into the bleachers is a doozy. It's kind of hard to get up there, so they often pack their own chairs because they can't sit in the bleachers. We're just really grateful that you've decided to help out with the replacement of those. Just another point to keep in mind is the a hazard at the ball field is the nets. There's been one or two foul balls that come through the holes, and while it provides a rush to see a ball coming at your head, it's a little unnerving. I'm not that fast to move. But again, I just wanted to say thank you for helping out on that. It's really appreciated. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Scott Goodliff. I'm here to address the board for the same reason, to bring attention to the deficiencies at the Bear River High School baseball field. And a lot of the things that Ms. Barfus brought up, I was going to talk about too. She kind of indicated that you're going to address that issue with regard to the bleachers, which is wonderful. There's also an access issue from the parking lot to the field. You're walking across unlevel soils, and it's really difficult. And I know that the board should be concerned with ADA compliance. And that certainly does not meet ADA compliance to gain access to that. I'm actually kind of surprised that whoever evaluates the school facilities for risk hasn't brought this, and maybe they have, and I just don't know about it, haven't brought that to the attention of the board previously. I understand from documents that were exchanged that these bleachers and this access has been this way for like 22 years. And so if nobody's fallen and been injured seriously, why, I think us as Box Elder County school district participants, which I am, haven't had to pay for that through a lawsuit or something like that. So it's good. It's good to hear that that's being addressed. And so thank you for the opportunity to comment.
I have to thank Scott because Scott and I are the same age. We went to high school together. It's hard to believe it because he looks a lot younger than I am. But anyway, we did go to school together. He's a great guy.
Well, my name is Tracy Goodliff, and I'm here for the same reason, and I'm also very appreciative of the news that I learned tonight that the bleachers will be approved of, and so that's exciting. But I'll go ahead and give you a few reasons that we feel that that's very important, just as background. But first, I did want to offer my appreciation for the facilities we have at Bear River High School, and most especially for the coaches that put so much time and effort into giving our kids the opportunity to have really great athletic experiences there. I want to express how strongly I feel that being part of a team and having coaches as great role models has benefited my two oldest children. I really feel that it's truly life-changing for them, and we as parents, grandparents, and friends would like to be there to cheer them on when their efforts culminate at game time. So up until now, the bleachers have been really, really hard to get up and down. I would say that for any physically able person, it's almost impossible to get up there. But for anybody who has any sort of physical ailments or limitations, they cannot get on them whatsoever. So it makes it a really much less pleasant, less safe experience for those who wish to be supportive of our baseball program. And I've seen several people slip and fall. One of those was my own mother. And she really wants to be at the baseball games and support her grandson and his teammates. But because the bleachers haven't been something that parents can use, they have to carry their chairs in, which was mentioned, and it's over some very uneven and rough ground. And so I worry, as much as I want them to be there, I worry every single time about their safety and about their comfort as well. But I know that we don't really see most of what goes on behind the scenes, but I have seen enough of the effort from Coach Haas and the others that they put into the field and the facilities that I can say without a doubt that maximum effort has been put into making Bear River one of the nicest fields around. But I do feel that without the needed upgrades for safety, this is overlooked and unappreciated. So I do want to say thank you very much if those improvements can be approved and implemented, and hopefully as soon as possible, because I do feel that we have an important program that's very, very beneficial to our students, and we have coaches that support that in great personal effort. So I thank them and I thank you.
Okay, now we'll go to Judah Richardson and then Jackson McKee and the BEHS basketball team.
Hello, I'm Judah Richardson, and I think I misunderstood the thing. I was just here. I thought you just had to sign in. Yeah,
Well, thank you for coming.
yeah. Here for assignment for Mr. Gerlach.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
You should get bonus points for standing up and
right.
speaking.
Yeah, I'm like Gerlach. I almost recorded. I'm like Gerlach. You should give me bonus points. for
Yes.
this. Right. Yeah. I am also on student government, so
Okay.
yeah.
Well, thank you for being here. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jackson McKee. These are my teammates. It's Cole Mortensen, Elijah Kersey, and Cooper Stevenson right here. We like to thank you guys for letting us go on our trip to North Carolina this year. Me, Cooper, and Cole were all freshmen. We got to go to Georgia, and it was a really neat experience. And being seniors, being able to go to North Carolina this year was really quite cool. We enjoyed seeing a whole different culture down there and getting to take tour of the two biggest basketball campuses maybe in the country with North Carolina and Duke University. So like to show our appreciation to you guys, and we're so thankful for letting us go. I have a couple of friends that I played with summer ball with that go up in Logan, Cache Valley area, and their school board shut it down and their district wouldn't let them go. And we're just really thankful for this opportunity you guys let us have, and just really thankful.
Oh.
Yes.
You guys won.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
We went 2-1 up there. Handed a team their first loss of the season, so it felt really good to beat them, show them what Utah basketball's like.
That's great.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. I appreciate that.
I'll just make the statement that you folks approved this probably last April, March, something like that. Coach McKee gets ahead, and basically you go every 2 or 3 years. I think the pandemic messed it up, so he tries to make sure that they get an experience during their tenure there, I guess, or your 4 years or your 3 years. So thank you guys for coming and saying thank you, because the board makes a lot of these decisions to approve going out of state, and going to, certainly the East Coast is way out of state, and it's a lot of discussion, and there's a rotation, and you guys are on the rotation. Box Elder High has theirs, and so people come to us all the time, and so it's really cool to see this end of the thing.
Yes.
So tell Coach, and thank you, and thank you guys for what you're doing,
Thank you.
what you represent. Thank you.
Good luck the rest of the season. Okay, then let's go to Monica Holdaway, and then Janelle Jeffries, and then Laura Wheatley.
Janelle may have done the same thing. She's on the agenda later, and so she won't be speaking at public comment.
Oh, okay.
She thought we were signing in.
Okay.
First of all, I want to thank you all for serving on the school board. It's got to be hard to look out for the needs of all of the students. Those of you that don't know me, I'm Monica Holdaway, and I represent the Box Elder Chamber of Commerce, which is comprised of businesses from all over the county, from Willard to Snowville. As citizens, leaders, and business owners in Box Elder County, the Chamber Board voted to support and champion the Box Elder Community Campus Project the last 2 years. The Chamber recognizes the need to help the most vulnerable citizens. We know that by having a safe place for children to go after school helps the parents to be able to go to work. I personally was in this situation many years ago when my first child was about to go into kindergarten, and I got a call from my daycare provider saying he can't come here because he's not full-time daycare. And thank goodness for the Boys and Girls Club. I knew he was able to have a safe and fun place to go. And anyone who knows me, that school starts 2 weeks before Peach Days. So to have a place for my child to be so I could work was a really important thing. We also know that there's a great need for domestic violence shelter and assistance to the survivors. I think we all know someone who has been a victim of domestic abuse, whether it's a friend, a sister, a brother, or yourself. Our county needs a place for them to go to be safe, learn how to overcome the abuse, and become a survivor. Both of these facilities in our county are filled. They're turning people away. Both the New Hope Crisis Center and the Boys and Girls Club need more space, hence the Box Elder Community Campus. The Chamber has worked diligently this last year with the nonprofits in town to lobby for funding for the community campus.
It will house multiple nonprofits, including the Boys and Girls Club. Senator Sandel led this effort at the state legislature last year, where we were awarded money. This year, Senator Sandel is again helping us by requesting funds for the New Hope Crisis domestic violence shelter. So last year it was more the community campus, and this year it is specific to the domestic violence shelter. This project has also been the #1 priority on social services for the Northern Utah Chamber Coalition. So this is all of the chambers from Davis County, Ogden-Weber, Morgan, Box Elder, Cache, and Rich counties. I have all of my counterparts in those chambers saying this is the #1 social service project in Northern Utah. So that's quite an achievement when we're dealing with much larger cities and counties. It has been that way for the last 2 years. We have worked with the county and the commissioners, as well as cities throughout the county to receive their support, which we have. We have worked with Congressman Blake Moore to secure federal funding for the project, and it has been approved. All of these efforts will be minimized if we cannot secure land to build on at a fair price. The Chamber would like to encourage the school district to support and partner with the city to receive a fair, reasonable price on the land at Mountain View Elementary School location. This is one of the last hurdles for this project. Personally, as being one of the constituents and having had lots of kids in the school district, I see this as a win for not only the project, but a great use of the school district property to help the most vulnerable in the county and ensure that the services desperately needed are available to them. Thank you. Oh, also, I have 2 letters from other business owners, one here in Brigham City, Courtney Gregory with American Family Insurance. I also have a letter from the manager of Kent's in Tremonton, Lane Jew Lander, that if you'd like me to, I can forward you their statements of support.
So Janelle's not going to speak, so Laura Wheatley.
Hi, I'm the region director for our county for the Utah PTA, and I just wanted to, and a lot of you are probably already aware of the Juul lawsuit, the e-cigarette company that was sued thousands of times for advertising to minors, and that was just settled for $1.something billion, and our school district joined that. The Utah PTA was responsible for making sure that all of the districts in our state knew about it and could join it, and we were one of those, and so we will be receiving some money from that settlement. So anyway, thank you for helping make our minors safer, and just that's one of the reasons why IPTA is, because the organization is just so big, and so it can take advantage of these things that people maybe just wouldn't know about, that they could join this kind of a lawsuit and stop these things from happening to our kids. So thanks again.
Thank you.
You may recall Rod and I brought that, I don't know how long ago it's been,
Yeah.
but we discussed that, and part of we had to have the board's approval to become part of the class action suit. So thank you to
Remember,
PTA.
I'm glad to hear that, the resolution of that, so thank you. Okay, that's the last of our public comment. Put that aside. Thank you all for being here, and you're welcome to stay for all the business of ever, or you can leave. We don't require that you, we don't just, okay, they left, we're out of here. So we have exciting things happening, so you're welcome to stay, but it's not required. But we do appreciate you being here. Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah, our next, well, we're going to do, if there's any school fees public, now we have an open, what do you call it? Public comment, but isn't there something else? Anyhow, doesn't matter. Public school fees, it's not here. Just have to have comment. Okay, we have to have 2 things. So if there's anybody here that would like to comment on school fees, you're welcome to comment. Oh. Oh.
So they thought now there's going to be, I think, what is it, $75 to be a part of the DLI program. We got that figured out once I understood what
worried about identifying dual enrollments for one student in two school districts, or an online school maybe for core classes, and then at a school maybe for arts. So.
Okay.
No, it's usually public school.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Okay, well, great. Well, then we will move on to our action items. Our first action item is approval of a 2-year contract for our business administrator. Superintendent, do you want to?
Yes, last year Rod Cook retired, and last spring, the board interviewed several candidates, and David Roberts was selected as our business administrator. We were fortunate in that David has a ton of experience. He's worked in Davis School District, he's worked at the State Office of Education, the Finance Department, and he's worked at Murray School District in a role that was a supervisor of many of the programs. And so when we got Dave, and Dave's a longtime member of, and a graduated of Box Elder High School, a longtime member of Box Elder School District, lives in Perry. And when the board hired him, they wanted to give a year and then renew his contract again, just for the sake of people knowing both the business administrator and the superintendent are hired for 2-year terms. And it just so happened that I was in the beginning of my 2-year term, the same time Dave was hired, and boards like to have the business administrator and the superintendent on different terms. And so just in case we both got non-renewed, fired, or left the job, it's difficult to replace both positions at the same time. So the board's thought was, let's hire Dave for 1 year, then renew his contract, and that's exactly what tonight's process is.
Okay, any questions or comments from the board?
I move that the Box Elder School District Board of Education approve a new 2-year renewal of business administrator David Roberts' contract.
I'll second that motion.
So we have a motion by Brian Smith and a second by Connie Archibald to renew David Roberts' 2-year contract for business administrator. So
Wade Hyde, yes.
Danielle Wright, yes.
Julie Taylor, yes.
Tiffany Summers, yes.
Connie Archibald, yes.
Brian Smith, yes.
Okay, that has been approved, and we did have an evaluation in our prior meeting, and we were really pleased to have David as our business administrator. Okay, now we get to vote for the board president and vice president, and this is a 2-year term that we take, and it requires a nomination, but not necessarily a second, although you can have a second. Also, if the people that are nominated would like to speak to their nomination, you're welcome to take a couple of minutes and make a statement or whatever. So I'm just opening the board. Yeah, for president. Let's do president first. So vote or nominations for president.
I would like to make a motion this evening that we elect Wade Hyde as our new board president for 2023 through 2025.
I would like to second that.
Okay, so we have a nomination for Wade. Are there any other nominations? Okay, hearing none, we will vote. So Wade, you get to vote first for yourself.
Wade Hyde, yes.
Danielle Wright, yes.
Julie Taylor, yes.
Tiffany Summers, yes.
Connie Archibald, yes.
Brian Smith, yes.
Okay, Wade.
Okay.
You are our new board
Okay.
president. I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We did discuss this prior to this meeting with Julie, and there's a lot of work that goes into setting up the agenda, and we also have an agenda review. And so Julie and Tiffany's been our vice president. And so with that thought, instead of putting the new president on the spot, Julie will continue for this meeting, and then Wade will start next meeting as the acting or the actual president.
The actual president.
That makes sense.
So
I'm good
just
with that.
I'm just
good
your
with that.
proxy now for the next
Okay.
20 minutes. No.
Thank you all. I'm excited. Thank you.
No, that's what I say. Thanks, Wade. All right, now we are going to open for motions for vice president.
I'd like to nominate Nancy Kennedy for vice president.
I second that nomination.
Okay, we have a nomination for Nancy Kennedy.
I would like to nominate Connie Archibald.
I second that.
Okay, and we have a nomination for Connie Archibald. Since there are two of you, would you like to make a statement?
Yes, I would.
Okay, go ahead, Nancy.
Madam President, I have been contacted by several good friends on this board who have been anguished by tonight's elections. This is a position I would love to serve in. I have the energy, the institutional knowledge, and I feel like I could be a real asset to the board. Everyone else on this board, other than Danielle, has served in board leadership since I have, and I would love to work closely with Wade. But in the interest of board harmony and to protect my friends, I withdraw my name from the election. I deeply appreciate Brian and Danielle for their nominations and wish Connie all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Connie, would you like to?
Yes, I would like to take a few moments. Approximately 10 years ago, I was granted the privilege of being the board president of the school district. As a member of the Board of Education, I went to our superintendent at the time, which was Superintendent Wolf, and I asked Superintendent Wolf if he would just share with me what his biggest concerns were in regards to our school district at that time. He said it was staff morale. So I, as a board president, I gave it a lot of thought. And one of the things that seemed to come to my mind was the fact that we needed to do more recognitions. And so 10 years ago, we started what we're doing today, what Wade did today. We are still continuing to do recognitions. It's nice to be able to, and I believe that it's important to celebrate the good. And it helps us to all feel good as we celebrate good. I'm pleased to be able to serve with with Wade Hyde. I appreciate all of the members of the Board of Education for their goodness. And I especially am appreciative of our administrative team and appreciate the relationship that we have and the ability and the trust that I have in them. As a board president, as a vice president, I will advise and assist President Hyde and substitute when needed. And I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. With Nancy withdrawing from consideration, we will just vote on Connie for vice president of our board.
Connie Archibald, yes.
How about Wade Hyde?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm totally confused. Wade Hyde, yes.
Danielle Wright, yes.
Julie Taylor, yes.
Tiffany Summers, yes.
Connie Archibald, yes.
Brian Smith, yes.
Nancy Kennedy, present.
Thank you for your participation and thank you for, and I'm just going to take a second here because it's my last time as president. So just to say thank you. Going into this, I really had no idea what the president did. I'm really glad because I wouldn't have done it. And it's not that it's that challenging, but there's just an extra layer on top. And so I've appreciated all your support and I am thrilled to pass the gavel and to be supportive of our new board leadership and of each of you as board members. I really think the world of each of you. So thank you for what you're doing, all of you. Okay, let's move on. Information items. We need to review the board of conduct and board member ethics.
Okay, each year it's a requirement, and I don't know, Keith, do you have the ability to put up 1034? Please. Yes, it's coming. This is just this is a policy just to talk about Board of Education Code of Conduct, and it's a yearly review. It's quick enough that if you don't mind, I'll do my best to read it. Board members shall represent the board with dignity, honesty, and integrity. 2, attend meetings regularly, prepared, professional, engaged, and dedicated to accomplishing and adhering to the agenda. 3, support the efforts to focus on the important matters, remembering that the student is always our most important matter. 4, communicate effectively, early, and often with each other and with others concerned, seeking to make your own ideas clear while respecting the different opinions of others. 5, be loyal to the board and work to achieve unity by supporting its decisions, even though you may personally espouse a different view. 6, value civility and avoid contention, realizing conflict on some issues is inherent and not undesirable. 7, represent and seek to understand the needs of all students, staff, and citizens in the district without partisanship. 8, work effectively with the superintendent and through him or her with the staff throughout the district. And number 9, develop and improve board skills by establishing goals, measuring progress, and participating in a variety of training and opportunities. And with that, and at number 9, I would like to make mention one of the many things that the board does to improve their skills is called the Master Board Award. And this year, everybody that was on the board this last year received this Master Board Award. The superintendent and the business administrator do that as well, and it's a software that's on the Utah School Board Association website, and it probably takes, I don't know, I've done it enough. I've been around a long time. I can maybe answer the questions faster than some, but it's a 3-hour, 4-hour that you get in and answer different types of questions, training.
And the different experiences that you.
Yes, and it's different levels. And at the back of the room, there's a plaque, and each year, if the board and the business administrator and the superintendent, 75% of that group gets this award, then we get a plaque. And right now, I just earlier today put up the 22-year plaque. And so we have 18, 19, 20, 21, and 22, and there's 3 more openings there. And so we've been doing this for some time. So that's just one of the many things that the boards do. They did, and we'll talk about this later in the agenda, did just attend the conference where they gave up their Thursday night, all day Friday, Friday night, and then Saturday till noon or 1. And it was a training put on by the Utah School Boards Association where there's a lot of breakout sessions and a lot of discussion. And it's just one of the great trainings, and they have some really nice keynote speakers. And just the time spent together with board members outside of being in this semicircle or half circle or whatever this, I'm not sure if it's quite a circle. But, getting to know each other personally and getting to spend some time laughing at some of the things that go on. And I just want to commend our board because I think these 9 rules are taken, or code of conduct are taken seriously. And it is hard because there is some things that are very contentious and hard to deal with. So thank you for doing that. Keith, the other one is the 1035, please.
By the way, you may ask, how did I get those colors there? Good question.
Because you're on annotate instead of
Well,
view.
again, I've never really used my iPad.
Well, and Keith couldn't tell you what those colors are, so
You
that's,
click on view instead of
The
annotate.
color of the chairs at the Spectrum of Utah State.
they are similar to there. So I won't read this is much longer, but there's, and just FYI for anybody in the crowd or anybody online, if you get on Box Elder School District's webpage, you can go to the bar across the top. The first one on the left is district. And once you hit on that, it gives you a variety of things. And one of the things is the board policies. And the board policies are just a group of, it's the rule book of how we are to do business. And what happens is each year the legislature meets for 45 days. They create a lot of laws and rules that portion of them, and a large portion of them, are pushed towards public education. From that, both the Utah State Board of Education makes what's called administrative rules, and also the Utah School Board Association, which I spoke of, they have an attorney on contract that is really a specialist in policy, and he takes all of these new rules and puts them into policy. And we call that the USBA model policy. They then send it to us, and we start usually about July, because by the time the session gets over in March, it takes this attorney a couple of months to decipher it down to policy. And then we start here at Box Elder School District of updating our policy manual. And in just a few minutes, we will talk about some policies. And we always read policies a first reading, and then we give it 30 days for people to hear that and think about it, and also the board to think about it. And then we have a second reading. And so I think many of these things in this policy, we're talking about 1035, and and 1034 that I just read a minute ago are part of the policies, and they're under what, these particular ones are under what's called the 1000 series, and that's all about the board, how it conducts its business and everything else, the board and the school district. And so just an example, Keith, can you, one of those right up there, I can't see if that one, but maybe go to B1, and you can see right there, thank you. It says Utah Code 53G, and in the Utah Code 53G is, the whole thing is public education. And so anytime you're reading this policy, you click on that particular code, and that will come up, and you can read the policy. Keith, you think that would work if you clicked on that, and it'll take you right to that code. And there's the Utah State Code right there for you. So that explains that particular paragraph of that section. And so I just felt like a lot of times people don't understand, and per chance, I was asked to give a breakout session at the last school board, this conference we just had last week, and I went through the process of how Box Elder School District develops develops policy. And just FYI, right now, Nancy Kennedy and Tiffany Summers are on what we call our policy committee, along with right now it's two principals, and I believe Mark Johnson's one of those principals from the elementary, and AJ Gilmore is the other one. And they come along with the staff, all of the assistant superintendents, and whatever director needs to come. Occasionally Bonnie Young from Health Services comes, or if it's a special education, they come to the meeting, and we hammer those out generally on a Thursday prior to the board meeting. This particular time it was Wednesday because we were, like we said, at meetings on Thursday. And so there's a lot of process that goes into governing the school board, and policy development and good policy governance is a key, because if we have good policy, we follow our policy, and then it doesn't come down to, oh, this is how I feel about this, or this is a friend, or this is a child or a relative. We have to follow this policy. So the board then, in turn, has to follow these types of commitments and ethics, and it's just good that we get to review that once a year. So thank you for that time.
Thank you. All right, we have, we're going to, the next information item is the Mountain View property. And this is where you get to come up, Janelle. Certainly. Thanks, Janelle.
And I can see my paper or you. Those are my options. I am here representing the community campus projects with the hopes of obtaining the Mountain View property for this project. The packet you have has a list of the resources the club provides the school district currently. It includes 5,400 STEM kits that are delivered to your elementary schools for every single student in the district every month. Those are coordinated with the Code HS program and the science grade level achievements for each grade, and by the club curriculum specialist, and we work with the CT director for that. And the 372 hours of staffing a week at school sites. Currently, that's 206 paid staffing hours that are during the school day that we pay for paras and assistants in the schools. And that's 202 staffing hours per week after school. That's only right now. The extra 32 hours, 31 hours is the ACYI play, which will discontinue at the end of this month, and then we'll go down to 171 hours that we are in schools, either before school or after school, providing programs that we pay for. So hopefully this quantifiable impact shows our financial partnership and our commitment to working together with the school district. This quantifiable impact is increased by the additional dozen of nonprofits that are partners in this community campus project. We understand the need to protect the district, to meet state statutes, and to make sure that a correct price is paid for the property. It is why we have never asked for the building to be donated to the project. Currently, Brigham City, using the first right of refusal, statute has offered to pay $97,000 an acre for the 6.1 acre property, equal $591,700, which matches the local assessed value of the land. The discrepancy comes when the district uses their current estimated value of the property at $2.1 million, which includes a land estimate of $74,000 an acre or $451,400 for the land. The additional $1.65 million is listed as the value of the building. I am here to discuss the assessed value of that building and demonstrate the local real estate market and its impact on the sale. Schools, like churches and hospitals, are purpose-built, meaning they are not multi-use commercial property, nor are they residential properties, and cannot be classified or assessed as such. There's no appreciation to buildings like this, as there is limited uses and make regular valuations of value irrelevant. The limited use of this building negates retail use or large industrial and leaves only projects similar to this one or residential treatment facilities or lockdown facilities as options. Limited purpose buildings have to be assessed and evaluated with their limited use and local market in mind. Additionally, as your own evaluation demonstrates, the comparison of the value of the land to industrial developed land or residential developed land is not valid, as the Mountain View location cannot be used for manufacturing or industrial use and is not currently developed for residential use. In developing the land for residential use, 20 to 25% of the property will be lost to roads, waste, drainage, and sidewalks, leaving 3/4 of the property to be sold at the residential developed rate, and must take into account the cost of clearing existing buildings and utilities to the property. There are assessors, developers, local and otherwise, that can confirm the information I'm giving you. I'm here today because we are on a deadline for this project, which is why we just started discussions in July of last year and with a presentation to the board in September. The project has to be shovel-ready by the end of the 2023 legislative session, meaning that we have to have this property or one of our backup properties confirmed as the project's locations by the 1st of March. If the district decides to take a chance with an open bid with a minimum ask that is not met, then in March our community will have another property sitting there unused, and the community campus project will be committed to a site that is less impacting and less effective. I have included in your packet a list of local undeveloped properties for your review. As you know, we have the support of nonprofits, businesses, neighborhoods, and community leaders, countywide, statewide, and nationally. I believe the Mountain View location is where this project needs to be. I do not know how much of the building can be salvaged or what the cost of construction on the existing portions that we are able to save will cost. I have met with Mayor Bott and believe that we can justify offering double the land value your current valuation states, offering $148,000 an acre or $902,000 for the property through the first right of refusal process. Similar to the district's financial requirements, this project cannot justify using taxpayers' money to purchase a building that needs extensive work or has limited use. We believe that this offer can be justified through an assessment of the property that takes into account the issues I've stated. I know that the district is a partner in the work the community campus is poised to provide. I am hoping you are willing to help me find a way to make this offer and this project work. I am hoping that in doing so, we can demonstrate to our county that we all know how to use our resources well, and we respect the hardworking families that fund the work we both do. Thank you.
Thank you. That was very helpful. Does anybody have any questions while she's here?
And once again, thank you, everybody. Most of you have been serving here long and are tired of me because 10 years is a long time for Janelle. And I have to say, Wade Hyde was one of the first principals I worked with, and he taught me that we're all on the same team. I remember him with all the principals. We were discussing some kids, and he's like, wait, we're all on the same team. So
Yes.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You know, I will say one thing, even though we met with these two ladies a couple of days ago, and Julie was there, and also Business Administrator Roberts, until right now, I really didn't realize this letter was actually bid by, did you understand it that way, Dave? And so I didn't. Yeah. Okay.
Waiting to make sure that the first right of refusal could be used, and I think
Okay.
they were looking, remember,
Yeah,
they were
we're still
looking at
working
the
on that.
lawyer
Okay.
and make sure that that could happen before they could do an actual official bid.
Okay.
But I do know they have agreed on those amounts, and we've gone back to see what's the maximum that we could do logistically and financially, that we also think that you could justify through an assessment or an evaluation of the property.
So, President Taylor, I did have a conversation with an educational law attorney, and she did tell me that if Brigham City refuses the first right of refusal or does not take the first right of refusal, that they are not eligible to bid when it becomes out to open bid because they have negated their opportunity to have that opportunity. And so they do not have the right to match an offer, we'd be responsible in taking the highest offer that comes through the highest bidding process. Now, if Brigham City wanted to offer the highest price in that time, they could, but they would have to go through the sealed process just like everybody else.
Right here, it says closed session to discuss real property. Do we want to do that now or do we want to move? Because we have another closed session at the end of the
Well,
meeting for
if you
personnel.
want- You still want to do that? That was just if you wanted that one to discuss.
Yeah,
Or you want to do it right now?
I don't care. That's what I'm saying.
I think, right, I think.
What, do you want to do it now?
I would
I'm
say
thinking-
now.
Okay. So if we need, we're going to move into closed session. We need a motion to do that and then we will excuse ourselves.
I'll second.
Could you please state the,
For the reason-
for the sale or lease of real property?
sale of real property?
Okay. So let's start with the
Wade Hyde, yes?
Julie Taylor, yes?
Tiffany Summers, yes.
Connie Archibald, yes.
Brian Smith, yes.
Nancy Kennedy, yes.
Okay, we will move into closed session. We
Okay.
will move across and then
We'll go into the other room because of all the recording devices on here, so,
Yeah.
okay?
we'll be back.
less promotion of maybe an online option or something like that, even though it might be vital. So there are some, I mean, again, it's hard to speak to that. I can't say, I will tell you that hypothetically, that Garland has replaced their first grade teacher 3 years in a row on the Spanish side. And because of that, and by the way, there's various reasons why that's the case. I have a lot of that information, but that also causes change with the English side. When your Spanish side is rolling in with now at our other schools where we're just and I'm saying this schools would be, you know, it's not necessarily a problem, but I do think when you have this system over and over, it does affect. You know, you would hope that second year teachers, they might be really great, but you know, what you just taught. You'll see balls, you kind of already know what you're saying. Is there requirements to say what determines if you can be successful? Our typical example would be over the years, we have highly motivated kids and highly motivated parents. That's our typical point. So when I'm a English almost not all, but they're highly motivated and punching operation, and they generally, that's a good thing. You're not necessarily getting them, you still have them, but you have also the next year, not as much support, not as much money, which you know tend to happen. They know that what's in connection could be. To whatever reason, parents don't really motivate about it, but they what is.
My parents are not aware of what their piece needs to be, even though they told us. Like, I mean, that's right. I mean, that's what we did, but we did that in kindergarten. You know what I mean? Or we should be. I did it too before, but like, it should be an expectation that you have a meeting every. Remind everyone of their renewed commitment. We as parents need to be extra vigilant as far as volunteers. We need extra help. They have to teach students, everyone. You know what I mean? And I was just looking to the superintendent of, and he said in their school. And it was only possible because so if we want our school, I think that's what we should be looking at. I don't know, just like we should look at parents first and say, what this teacher? This person needs help, because any teacher who's done dual immersion more than once, even one time, is like, your brain explodes, yeah, with the load that you have. And not, I mean, and first grade anyway, first graders, oh my gosh. I love it. Yeah, I did like her presentation this year. She did a great job. I did a little video. That was part of it. Yeah, maybe you should have to sign it right here. I'm getting it clear. They parents remember this is what we're expecting. I don't know. And also it's hard too because I actually went to a Spanish teacher in second grade and asked in the classroom at 12, and they shot it down because the teachers didn't want the parents in there. And part of the reason they gave me was because if parents are in there, they don't want to look at them, they're just distracting the kids. Anyway, so I just need to know, yeah, maybe they need to come up with ways to for them. Yeah, I mean.
And really, that might be the best option in that case is to approach them and say, we want to
support, you know, what do you need? If you don't want to spend, what are ways that we can, what
We're gonna lose both of them again, which is gonna hurt for this district. But then that should be the state, but she's our neighbor. But the English people, first and second grade English teachers are just so high. Grade teacher is phenomenal. Our first grade and second year, our second year, she is in first grade, that's right. It's been sorry.
so I would be saying that she will be not like,
But I, again, it's all hypothetical. Don't feel like I'm anybody. It's just, I'm trying to help, but I also don't want to do it.
you know, if they've ever, this hypothetical situation, if they've ever hypothetically thought about marriage. Or discussing concerns.
Yeah. At what level? Yeah. Are you asking me that? Well, yeah, I don't know.
What
I know
do
that
you
she's
need to
talked
do?
to she had to explore, or at least talk to her. But it might not change. But, I mean, even from my perspective, you can tell I'm a loud person, and I get to be like, what is that's my attitude about Hey, so I just know how important it is to be like all working together on the same goals and not doing it. You know, they say don't work harder, work smarter. So that's where
So there's
effort.
Not all things should be. I mean, I. I'll say. so you know, the idea of having 60. What's that? Oh, yeah, mine, yeah. Get back to the actor that. I don't know. Thank you.
Closed session is coming to an end. Ready to start again.
Judy, you came to a meeting where half the time you just sit here, so, like without, we're not even in the room, so. Okay, we are back and we voted to go out of closed session, so we're just gonna move on with our our agenda. Jeremy, thank you for waiting and being patient. You're up next, the Apple data. Which I just have to tell you, I got the data from both my daughters. Like I got one in the mail. I was like, why are they sending this to me? So it was nice to get that.
We send them to schools. Some schools send them home with the kids, others mail them.
Yeah, so I appreciate that.
Yeah. So I sent this, we're running off an iPad, so it's not as fancy presentation as our normal. But it's also what was sent to you before, so you had a chance to look at it. So a couple of reminders about Apple data. We did our Apple in November, December is when the students take that. As part of the our enrollment in the DLI program through the state, all students have to take the Apple test. They are tested on speaking in 3rd, 5th, and 7th grades, and then they're tested on reading, writing, and listening in 4th, 6th, 8th, and 9th. So they don't take a test 1st or 2nd grade, and then they alternate years, which can make it a little tricky to compare growth, say, over years or things like that. I attempted to do that with some cohort data that hopefully made sense to you as you were looking through it, but I'll kind of speak to that. So first, as we look through here, on each of these slides, I've done a slide for each grade. I've put in our percentage reaching benchmark as a district, as well as that same percentage last year or the previous year. Even though those are different students, it's the same grade and same benchmark expectations. And then I've separated that same information into Chinese and Spanish to kind of see the two programs, because there are different benchmarks for each of those programs. The Spanish has a higher benchmark throughout in expectation from the state. That the benchmarks are the state ideal that we're shooting for. The state sets those benchmarks, and we just try to achieve them. There's no accountability tied to those. It is just a way to measure progress. Also on those sheets, so I put that state benchmark as a red line on the bar, and then the dot is the national average of that test and grade. I was just talking with Mr. Meekum. Utah has one of the highest in participations in dual immersion in the country. And so it's important to know that to compare against that national dot is not really accurate to say compared to other DLI schools throughout the nation, because there's going to be a lot of students taking this test that aren't in DLI throughout the nation. And so it's not, if that makes sense. And so, so traditionally those are native language speakers who are taking it. Is more common than say dual immersion outside of Utah. So just as a comparison.
So the state benchmark is a more accurate.
Yep. But even then, it's a benchmark. It's not a comparison against anyone else. So that's not how the state does. That's just what they would like us to do, I guess, is the best way. So it's a goal. Yeah. Yep. And so as you look there, so here's our 3rd grade. This year we had 77% on benchmark on our speaking test. Last year was 79. And you can see the breakdown of Chinese and Spanish. Chinese was lower than the benchmark. Spanish was above the benchmark. 4th grade is broken into 2 because they take the 3 tests, right? And so I have 2 slides for those grades for 4th, 6th, 8th, and 9th that take the 2. And so you can see the breakdown for writing, listening, and reading both last year and this year. We increased in writing, decreased in listening, increased in reading, in which that reading score, we did the same data dive with all of the DLI teachers back before the break on our PD day. And that was one of our big celebrations, to have 93% of the kids at benchmark. That language is fantastic. And here's the breakdown that you can see for each of those tests. So in Chinese, you can see the presentational writing this year was just outstanding. So that's our average, that number that you see there of the N4 average in presentational writing, where the benchmark is an N2. So to have an average that high above the benchmark was really fantastic. And I know that that's been a focus point for our Chinese teachers. After they got the DLI data last year, they recognized that. And so as you look year to year, you can kind of see these fluctuations of once they see something's low, they'll put an emphasis on it. And so it goes up generally because everything is time related at the cost of something else. And so it's finding that balance of where everything's at benchmark.
Well, and am I reading this correctly that we're at or above benchmark on everything and all the way across,
In
right?
fourth grade, we were this year,
In fourth
yes.
grade. So that's great.
Yes, as an average. And so that's kind of the two measures. The one that's in the table is a percentage of students that reach that benchmark. And then in these bar graphs, those are averages for the two programs. That's an average score. Let's slide to fifth grade. So here's fifth grade. Last year we had 90% of our students at benchmark on the fifth grade test. This year was 88. Above benchmarks were the same percentages. Both Chinese and Spanish were consistent with the national average and above the benchmark. And so in the elementary schools overall, you can really see high marks. They're meeting those growth benchmarks. So here's our sixth grade percentages at benchmark, at and above. Writing 60 to 58, listening 80 to 70, and then reading 70 to 85. So a drop in one, a rise in the other. And again, we talked about that, about why that might be, and things that we can do. Some of it, as the teachers talked, really focused on what they emphasized, what they spent the extra time focusing on, and weighing how that goes. We talked a little bit about impact of COVID and less time in early years. Whether it was losing a third of the year of interaction and taking like a 6-month break of language, or having a shortened day, because even with an hour shorter, when you split, is a significant amount less time immersed in the language. And so some of those things we talked about as potentially impactful, but ultimately they just made a plan and moved forward. Right. Right. So we've got a new program coming up. As we add programs, we have those beginning cohorts with teachers who are teaching it the first time, and some of those growing pains in some of those schools that you see, and you see some of those things as they figure it out as we expanded our system.
Interesting.
Sixth grade, there you see the breakdown, Chinese to Spanish, and relation to the benchmark, a little lower in the listening, but writing and reading, and then Spanish reading is really just way up there. Interestingly consistent with the national averages. Seventh grade, again, just the speaking test. Last year, 59% were proficient. This year, 74% proficient, with Chinese being one level average lower than the benchmark, Spanish being more than a level of the benchmark. Eighth grade, their two tests went from 46 to 55 writing, 77 to 61 listening, 70 to 84 reading. So that same kind of swapping of what's higher and lower increased in writing and reading, decreased in listening in terms of percents proficient.
When they listen, do they have, because I'm just thinking as a Spanish, like what the accent is, like if your teacher
Yeah.
was from Spain versus Peru, does that play into anything? That's interesting to me. Just wondering if that's
A little bit. I've listened to some of the prompts on the listening test on that. So I speak Spanish, and saw the Spanish ones. I couldn't listen to the Chinese ones. And there's accent there, but it varies. It's not all of your prompts are, say, from a speaker from Spain or from Latin America. It's
varies.
varied
I'm sure
a lot.
and I'm sure they speak like not the rapido like the Dominicans or something like that. They probably try and make them so they can understand
They're
it.
intelligible, but it's all, they're also native speakers, and so that
Yeah.
it's still fast. And then ninth grade, so they take the same test, 8th grade and ninth grade. So you can see pretty consistent in writing, fairly close, a little bit drop in listening, and then another drop in reading. But in which, as you look at our cohort data, you see that a little bit as well. Whether that is from the change in what it looks like as far as the program and how many classes they're taking, and so their time immersed in the language, or whether that's in relation to just the different environment. But that's kind of a consistent thing that we see as we look at the cohort data, is that 8th to 9th grade kind of flattens out a little bit, with at least in relation to the Apple test. But there could be I could speculate as to a lot of reasons why that might be, but I don't know. I couldn't justify any of them necessarily.
Well, unlike any testing, it's a day. Like you had a bad day. Maybe that was just
Right.
skewed the data.
And so as we look cohort comparisons, so these two charts really are, I put them on there just to show you where the data was coming from. So I took all of those averages for the last 6 years. So the box elder averaged on that bar graph, and put it into this chart so that we could kind of track cohorts over time and look at. And so these two charts really are the foundation for the graphs that follow. And so that's kind of where that data comes from. Let's scroll down to those cohort chart or line graphs. Next one. So the state benchmark I put on there is with a star. You can just for comparison. On the right side with the colored dots, that's the grade of our students. And so like our current 11th graders are that blue dot, 10th graders that red, and so on. Our current 3rd graders are that orange dot, so on the far left. So this year, our Chinese, 3rd grade Chinese students, on average, scored the lowest they've ever scored on this test, which you can see, or at least over the last 6 years. It was the lowest they've scored. And again, there could be, I have to believe that COVID impacted that in terms of their ability to speak Chinese, this speaking test. But we'll kind of watch and see how that plays out. But overall, you can kind of also see the growth. So say that 8th grade, our 8th graders that took this test last year, we have 3 measures of this test, of the speaking test. So you can kind of see their growth over time. Our 6th and 5th graders, when they took it, really improved dramatically, which kind of speaks to me of a refining of the program. And so they're kind of understanding and figuring out what we need to do to have them advance over the years in Chinese, in being able to speak it. And so I would anticipate that next year, our 4th grade that one will be up higher as they take it again, as 5th graders next year. Does that, and then the rankings on the side are just to tell you what the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mean. That's your levels on the Apple score. So that's 9th graders. Our current 9th graders when they took it as fifth graders and then as seventh graders, they went down in the average percent proficient. So those are our current ninth graders when they took it 2 years ago and 4 years ago. So listening, here's our listening one. You can kind of see again that current ninth grade group. That same, you see that drop with their listening as they took it in eighth and ninth on their listening. You see our very first cohort that's currently juniors, and our cohort that's currently sophomores. Those two first cohorts really scored high on their listening component.
Are the numbers pretty similar between like cohorts, like number of participants in?
Yeah, we're pretty in those higher grades. We are. I mean, we saw some attrition through the years, but it was fairly there's not a dramatic size difference per se until you get maybe to our current third grade class. I think is a really small class.
Okay.
I think there's 24 in our current third grade class. Our cohort, not 25. There's a class of 13, the class of 11, so 24.
Okay.
So a small group there, but in those early ones, they were all good size. Here's reading. Yeah, you can see a dip with our current seventh grade group. They'll take it again next year, this reading one. They drop down, but overall, you see as a program, a really pretty consistent growth and rise in how kids are progressing in their Chinese reading over time. And then yeah, there's no phonics, there's no
phonics.
That denote maybe something that's watery or ice, so you can see a little dot on the left, which gives you an idea of what it is. But it is just great.
Wow.
No way to say. So these students are amazing.
Yeah.
I'll just say that.
It's crazy.
And why do you know that, Keith? You know that because you know the language.
phonetic. Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah. And then you see that similar growth in writing with Chinese, you know, with our highest performing group being our current 11th grade cohort, but fairly consistent growth with all of them. And then our next 4 slides are just those same things with our Spanish. You see our Spanish growth. Again, our current 3rd grade group scoring the lowest score out of the last 6 years on average. Again, I think that what school looked like during the pandemic years affected that. Here's our listening in Spanish. See, while there's some varied all over the place, we really couldn't figure out those 11th graders why they were so low on this in 6th grade, but they seemed to rebound pretty good. And to have an average near an I-5 really is remarkable. Yeah. Which is interesting because you look at our 4th graders in reading, and they were the second highest in the last 6 years. And and so there's some variability with averages and adding in new groups of students and things like that. But as you look through these, overall, you really just get a good picture of the improvement over time everywhere, which I think speaks to the program and its success in teaching students language. It really just does. Any questions about any of the data that I've shown or about the DLI program? I would say that as general takeaways, our DLI programs are effective at teaching language. I mean, that's just as a general rule, they do well. Chinese is harder, and so we don't see quite the success in our Chinese program that we do in our Spanish program, but it's a hard language to learn, and there's just a lot to it. It's difficult. I think our teachers do a great job. I think they're learning and growing and improving their practice. But I think the program in and of itself is effective.
This is not on the agenda, but I think the discussion probably needs to start at some time or other. I believe you just had the lottery today.
It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow
night. We have our numbers finalized, and we'll have our lottery tomorrow.
And one of our big concerns, staff, Bell, to the directors, is the Chinese at Golden Spike. What was the number that you ended up having right now?
We had 30 apply this year.
And realistically, that means two classes of 15, which ends up, hurting us. And overall, in Jeremy's discussion the other day, overall, our total numbers are actually down from what they've been in the past. Is that correct, that have applied for it? I mean, since we've expanded out in North Park.
Slightly. So we're down a little bit this year. Part of that might be because we have fewer kindergartners this year.
Yeah.
And so that impacts, but so we're down a little bit, but it's just tricky. It's tricky with the size of district we are, to fill 5 programs. In terms of, like, if we look at all of the DLI programs throughout the state, and how many elementary school programs they have, as opposed to, or compared with how many first grade students they have, I think we are 4th behind, like, Park City and a couple smaller ones that just have one school. In terms of number of kids per program, I think we're under 200 first graders, and so for every 200 first graders, we have to staff. Ideally, we like 60 of them to be in our program, whereas the state average is closer to 400 for districts that have DLI, and so it's a lot easier with. And which is hard to say because it's an amazing program. I've got 5 daughters in DLI in Cache Valley, and I support it, and I believe in it, and I see the benefits of it. And as much as I want every student to have that opportunity, many don't want it. And so trying to find that balance of where can we, in a fiscally responsible way, support the program and offer that, but not in a way that is not responsible to our other classes and makes other classes with 30 or 35 or 40 kids in it, and because that's not fair to them either.
That's the balancing.
And so that's a tricky that's a hard place to be. It's a hard balance to find in a way that supports this amazing program and wants, and we encourage people to do it. In the end, though, it is wholly based on parents signing their kids up to be in it. Other questions?
the Spanish numbers, like, is there going to be, because we have 4 programs, like, are there going to be, how many kids are not going to get in, I guess?
So we have of our 5 programs, both inbounds and out of bounds, the only place we will have a lottery this year is Lakeview inbounds.
Lakeview
Everywhere
inbounds.
else was under the set lottery number.
And what's the set for Lakeview again? Is
So
it the same as-
Lakeview, we had 76 apply, 66 were inbounds, and we had a number of 48.
Okay.
And so there's 18 there that we'll have the lottery for, and then we'll move into, because we have space in all of our other programs in offering second choices and things like that as we go through that lottery process.
How much space?
So Garland had 59 applicants out of the 60. Golden Spike had 30 out of the 60. Lakeview had 76 out of the 60. North Park had 52 out of the 60. And Willard had 51 out of the 60. So we've got 9 open places at Willard, 8 at North Park, 30 at Golden Spike, and 1 at Garland.
So potentially, like, they could, if everybody could be in a DLI that wants to. There's space
If
for,
they chose to go to a
if they
different
chose to
school.
travel.
Yeah. If they chose to travel, there's space in DLI for everybody. Yes.
So if they
But knowing
travel
the demographic.
from Lakeview to Willard for first grade, does that mean, and then people move out of Lakeview, can they go back to Lakeview if there's space open? Or do they have to go to, commit to going to Willard for all 5 years?
No, they can, we've
If
allowed
they-
those transfers. We generally try not to do that during mid-year, to be a summer transition, but as those open up, if they are in a DLI program, we take them in, as well as out of boundary students. If they've been in DLI and transfer into a school that has DLI and there's space in the program, they can be a part of those classes.
It's good information.
So that at least gives you some context from a perspective of supporting programs and where we're at numbers wise.
Thank you, Jeremy.
You're
That was very helpful. Okay, school fees, Keith.
So the good thing is we've come a long ways. We've got better, we've got better, we got better. I think last year, specifically, we dropped our high school academic fees by $30. And we seem to be able to, we're riding, we're doing okay. So you're gonna see on the very first page that there's nothing at none of the high schools that needs to have any adjustment, at least in terms of the academics. So we did make the switch last year to drop down the general class fee. Actually, we took away a fee. No, we took that out, so $30. So anyway, we're doing well, and schools say that they're doing well right now with what their needs are. Going to the middle and intermediate levels, I would just state, and by the way, when you see sort of a highlighted, that is a request for an increase. So if you look up here on line 7, for example, the student body fee at the middle schools is $15. Now, schools use this to give back to students for rewards, for a variety of settings. And both ACYI and Harris felt like increasing it $5. And again, with the idea that it goes back to helping the students. So whatever they give, the kids are going to get back in recognition, rewards, activities, etc. So that's why. And then obviously 7th grade totals went up by $5. 6th grade totals went up by $5. So that's really all that we saw at the intermediate and middle level.
Just FYI, the link is back in the comments portion.
And I don't know when I send a Google
Doc.
link,
They've got it up.
if it will actually open up as a live document on your board book.
What if they hover over some of those?
Yeah. I certainly can share this another way, you know. Again, this is first public comment option. And certainly we can do more questions about that. I will tell you that last year, I want you to know that primarily we did all these comparisons with those around us. The board graciously extended the idea of 800. I think, I'm not exactly sure, but I think we had one sport get close to the 800. But most sports did not. They didn't get there.
That was a concern last year of
Yeah.
raising that up there, but I'm glad you brought that point up.
Yeah.
That it,
Well, and one thing I would like to say is like, because I have a golfer, like it used to say just like, participation but you have to pay the green fees and you have to pay and range fees. And so if they're going to be on the golf team, they've got to pay, and they put that in this year, which I appreciate because that raises
We're becoming more and more
it's
transparent.
it's important to
and
know that.
It wasn't that we were trying to hide things. I think there was this idea that, well, you can't, if you're going to golf, you have to have it. Not everybody gives us free golf, in the high school. So very good. You'll notice that theater down on line, whatever that line is, 29. We felt that since theater, especially the competitive piece, is under the Utah High School Activity Association, we moved it from the performing groups fee and slid that over and wanted to increase that amount. I think it was $250 last year, and the need to increase that to $350.
Is that so the school play musical I noticed is $350 as well. Those are two different things still.
Yeah.
Okay.
So theater might be, I'll just use, our most competitive is at Box Elder High. They have a competitive theater, and they've been either state champs or state runner-ups for several years. And they've also been region champs. I don't even know how many consecutive years. And so that's that group right there. Now, again, just a reminder, these are maximums. And everybody has to have a spending plan. And you can hover down below and see these. Now, when you go down to the bottom, I'll just kind of, this little stuff here, those still are current year fees. They will be updated as the year turns to the new year. A new spending plan will be put in place. And what we have is, anything that's going to start in August will be July 15th. Anyway, so we have these timelines to switch it over. But the fees you'll see now are our current fees for the current year. But moving forward, those links are all going to get updated to stay underneath exactly what's happening. I might want to just add just a couple other things. We have a lot of clubs that are going on in our schools that are not listed. All they ever buy is a t-shirt. That number's been $10 to buy a reasonable t-shirt that is not, so thin and having a 2-color and a logo. They felt like closer to $15, and that's all they really ever use it for, is to buy a t-shirt. FFA has been a concern of mine for years and years and years. We have outstanding FFA programs, both at Bear River High and Box Elder High. It's been $25 for a lot of years. Now, just so you know, both of our programs fundraise like crazy, use things at the fair and other ways to help offset the costs for our students. The reason why we went from 25 to 275, and I'll quote a teacher at Bear River High. Generally, this is not going to ever apply because there's a $100 fee to go to the state competition. One, not everybody goes. Two, they try to cover it through their fundraisers almost exclusively. But if they weren't able to, for some reason, it is $100. The national tournament or the national conference, which is generally 8 or 9 kids, maybe per school, it's $150 for the national. Again, they try to fundraise, they try to do the very best that they can. But at the end of the day, if they weren't able to do that, there would be that money. I might also add on line 12, right above or right below co-curricular club fees, it says overnight travel not included. And what that means is if I happen to be one of those 7 or 8 kids and I'm heading back to Indianapolis or Louisville, there is going to be some flight, and that would all be handled down here on line 31, which is what potentially could do. The people I've talked to, most kids don't pay more than $500 for a week trip. That includes their for FFA, for their flight, for their, their hotel, for all their food, and for everything they. So you can see that FFA's fundraising and all the contributions of community members, they've been able to do that. But we felt like if for some reason fundraising didn't happen, we could have a 275. I don't think that will apply to very many kids in FFA. I don't want it to thwart their desire to even apply or to be a part of this. And in the spending plan, they'll note this as it could be 275, but most likely here, and it'll be well under that. But that was the feeling that we had. Also, the last thing I wanted to mention was per diem rates went up. And that's why we have a 9, 12, 16. I think it was 8, 11, and I don't know. 8, 11, I don't know, 14, 15. Anyway, it did go up. We also know that it's a little crazy right now for travel. Coaches and advisors are doing their very, very best to keep things as low cost. But you need to understand that here we are in January of 2023, and we're making decisions for example, softball and baseball coaches for March of 2024. So when we have this or current market value, I think it needs just to have sort of this flexibility just in case the market we don't know what it looks like. Certainly, if everything was, they're trying to get the best cost. We're not trying to, let's go to the very best hotel ever. They're really trying to say, what's our least expensive opportunity and still have opportunities, kind of like those young men said tonight. I think their trip ended up $500 after all their fundraising. $500 to go to North Carolina on a flight that I think was $600 just to fly. I think coaches really, truly want to keep things as cheap as possible, yet provide opportunities for students.
And I was going to say, I think the parents want those opportunities.
And I think a lot of them do. And here's the deal. It's all fee waiverable. So if we have somebody for whatever reason that can't afford it and they qualify for a fee waiver, it will be covered. And so they can have the same experience and not be discriminated based on maybe financial need. So the idea will be I had one comment. We had no one here tonight. We sent it out to every parent.
Yep.
I think it's minimal because last year you guys did a ton of work. You worked so hard and asked lots of good questions. And I think that's why I feel comfortable that maybe this year it won't be quite push it out. We didn't, for some reason, Superintendent, get the volleyball on for an approval tonight. Boys. So the idea would be is how it says $800 for volleyball. That would be potentially the max. I don't think it'll be quite like, none of our volleyballs went that high, but anyway, that would be part of this.
For the boys volleyball, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And that will be obviously that we're not changing the amount for boy or girl. It's 800. So we wouldn't switch anything there. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer. You'll see that most of it's fairly benign. I mean, in terms of change.
Anybody have questions?
I'll just make a comment. What I remember is a whole room full of parents begging us to, let them spend more money so they could compete. So I'm not at all surprised that there's no one here.
Yeah.
Because it's reasonable and it's transparent and it's good.
I want you to know, I'll just kind of give you something here that I think that we have when you start talking about transparency. Cheerleaders were able to get $1,800. We raised it from $1,400 to $1,800. And here is sort of the everything, I mean, you want to talk about how does this go down and how we get into that number? And you can just see line on line, 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 line. Before, what did we have?
The cheerleaders are paying $50 for Christmas gifts?
Their parents are paying $50 to get their girls a Christmas gift.
Okay.
A team.
But anyway, at least it's
Hoodie.
it's descriptive.
lanyards.
So
I don't know if they call that the Motel 5.
I am going to the National Mother of the Year conference. in
All right.
April. They just contacted me today. 4 of us are sharing 2 beds in a room in Omaha.
Oh.
I feel exotic.
If we ever get any other parent information, and I don't know, Superintendent, do you think we should send it out one more time? I mean, we have added, it's a hot link, but once it gets buried in, I mean, I could send it out one more time and say, hey, last chance to voice your concern. I think I'll probably do that.
What would be the flavor of the board? Do you think we should? I mean, that,
Yeah, doesn't hurt.
Anyway, our hope is that there would be an approval for next, a motion to approve next month,
Okay.
which I won't be here, but I could do it virtually.
while his wife's driving from Cedar City,
Yeah.
right? If you have reception. I would make a comment that most of you have been here through this process of the last 4 or 5 years. And this has been a process to end up with tonight. And I need to commend Keith for doing much of the looking and seeming simple is because a lot of hard work on the back end or the front end. I don't know which end it is. But I walk by Keith's office several times a day, and quite often I see that multicolored program up there, and he's working on it to get that in there. He's going out and talking to the people at both schools, and well, even not just both, because it does involve all the schools, but mostly the high schools are the highest when you talk about that. And so Keith deserves a lot of credit for the work that's been done here.
Absolutely. Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, we're going to move to our monthly financial report.
Okay, with respect to Mr. Richardson's on the back that his eyelids are half closed, we'll make this quick for you, sir, so you can get out of here.
He's all over it.
The financials look really, really good. I have highlighted some areas that you just need to be aware of. Because of the time frame between our last board meeting and today, I really wanted to dive in on the other and the federal on line 10 and 12 to see why there's a decrease in the revenue this year versus last year. But I did not have that time because of other things that we had talked about earlier that I've been working on. So, but I will have a report for you next month on that revenue to find out why it might be centrally assessed. Yes.
They've cleared bankruptcy.
Correct. So part of that could be centrally assessed, yes. You're absolutely right, Nancy. The other one is the negative on the other for the calculation of indirect cost that was over-calculated, and we had to return that money back, so that's not a problem. And then the other ones I highlighted just because we paid those in full, just so you know, liability insurance, we estimated our policy would be at 165, and it was a 4% increase above what we budgeted, but that is all paid in full versus the previous year. And then property insurance, for some odd reason, came in right at what we estimated. Fuel costs are holding good. Just so you know, diesel engines are becoming a rare commodity. And so you may see that fuel cost even come down more as we look at the opportunity to maybe purchase gas buses in the future where the fuel for gas is dramatically less than diesel. So that is something that's coming through just because of the EPA restrictions and stuff like that. The other area, revenue on capital outlay, our property taxes, just so you know, look really good this year. We're at 50% of the budget year, and we've got some property tax revenue that's coming in really good. So that does benefit us because like we've mentioned earlier in previous board meetings, we overestimated our WPU, and then the need for some capital money for the football turf field, well, the turf field, I shouldn't say football, it's turf field, it's gonna be used by multiple student groups, is also some money that we need to find. So all that looks like it's right on, with some areas that are of concern and other areas that look really bright. So any questions?
Looks good, thank you. I like it.
Oh, the other one I should probably talk to you guys about is 178, 179, and 180. Just so you know, this year we are not charging for breakfast. However, next year it's anticipated that we will need to charge for breakfast because we're not getting all the federal revenue from all the kids that were eating for free. We're not getting all that revenue that we received last year.
So are we charging for breakfast in any of the schools?
Not right now, because
None,
we had
oh.
enough of a surplus of federal revenue
Okay.
that we felt we could give breakfast free to students this year.
Okay.
But just because of the revenue that won't be coming in on the federal side, we will probably charge for breakfast next year.
What about for like I'm just thinking elementary schools where it's like in the class, like they do it.
In the classroom?
Will they be charged for that, or
Yeah.
how are they?
So if they're eligible for free and reduced, they'll be able to get it for free, but if they're a full pay student, they'll have to pay for that.
Okay.
Yep.
Will they?
That's just
You
a
can
quick.
ask. You can
What?
say.
Go ahead, Heidi.
I was just wondering about, we have it in the classroom now. And I worry a little bit about the,
Because it's free.
Teachers are also dependent upon breakfast being offered because of the fact that it impacts behavior so significantly.
So breakfast will still be offered, it just won't be free. So,
Right, it's just been
But
free
then if
for
it's
anyone
not-
that does
Yeah.
breakfast in the classroom, because if you offer it in the classroom, then it's universally free for the entire school. So many of the schools, especially the Title I schools, do that because it reduces behavior problems
Yeah.
significantly when they've been.
And I was
fed.
gonna say, if it's offered in the classroom, I'm just wondering what kind of has to be, like, you can't say you pay, because then if they're eating and they're not, I mean, that's just a little.
so I can get some numbers as far as participation. So is your concern that maybe there might be a stigma to those kids?
Well,
that-
there's a stigma, and then how do you separate the ones that, like, my daughter eats breakfast at home and I send her to school, and then everybody else is eating, and she's like, it's just kind of logistically how, as a teacher and as a student. Although I don't know if she takes anything, I'm just thinking of that. Like if you're sitting in a class and 2 people are eating and 2 people are not, the teacher can't do anything different and trying to manage kids that aren't eating. I don't know. Just think if it's in the classroom. I think that'd be something to look at.
Can we look into it?
That'd be good. That's
Okay.
interesting to know, though. Thank you.
Right,
for
and,
bringing that up.
and I would agree that the poor student, that their parents may be able to pay for it, but they don't, and they come to school without any food, and they're in there, but you can't have any cereal today because your parents didn't pay for it. It's really not their fault.
So they can,
So-
if there's money, well, and I'll just tell you this, if a student comes and gets breakfast, we're not gonna refuse it. But if they're a student that pays, it will be charged to their account. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So breakfast is available to everybody.
Right.
Right now, anybody can go and get breakfast, whether they're reduced, free, or full,
Right, I
and get it
understand that.
for free. But breakfast is still available to everybody. It just won't be free to those that are not eligible to have free lunch, free meals, and then
Right,
the reduced
I understand
ones.
that, but if a student comes and has breakfast, you're still gonna charge their parents if they're not free reduced.
Correct.
And that might be a surprise to the parents, I'm just saying.
Okay,
So we just have to let people know.
yeah.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, board committee reports. We're going to turn to our student board member, which was so fun to get to know Michaela over the conference weekend and spend some time with her. So
Yes, it was good to get to know you guys. So for January for Bear River, the wrestlers, the boys and girls wrestling team did very well. So the boys wrestling team, the varsity Richardson Placers, Max Anderson, Skylar Yates, and Keaton Smith all placed 6th overall. Ty Hawks and Daxton Bingham was 5th overall. Quade Kosoff was 4th, and Max Miller was 1st. And then the girls wrestling team competed at the 2023 Philly Invitational, and they got the 2nd place team. And then they had a few Ross Brunson All-Star dual wrestlers. So Brettley Potter, Abby Trehorn, Sydney Nelson, Reese Hatch, and Sadie Hardy were all All-Star wrestlers. And then they finished their fundraiser week and raised over $6,500 for Lucas. And they had a talent show, and Davin Page was their winner. Coming up, they have the FFA chapter contest on January 18th and the Sweat Hearts dance on January 21st. And then Box Elder also completed their Christmas assistant fundraiser, and that went well. They just need to plan for a few more dances this month and some upcoming events. And they said that their main focus has been, they had their student pass away, and that has been really hard for everybody, especially his close friends. So they've just been really focusing on helping those students, and the Crisis Center has been working with them. And they're very hopeful that people will be able to recover and get over this hard time. So they're just, any support or any care or kindness you can show to them at this time would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you.
Nice.
Very good. Very nice report. Are there any, we haven't had any other committee reports, anything since last month. So let's move on to our policy review. We've got
Okay,
one on first reading.
Keith and Bonnie felt like they needed to make an update on the drug testing. So Keith, I'll let you talk to that.
There was a pretty strong feeling from both administration, athletic directors, coaches, that we have a pretty big vaping, nicotine. I mean, we talk to our principals. Rarely do they see smoking, but they do see a lot of vaping. And we have a lot of safe school violations with vaping. But we've never in the history of, since we started this back in 2000, I think it was 9. I was doing my internship, and I think it was about 2009. Anyway, we've never tested for nicotine. And we feel like we need to. And so you'll see the changes are, number one, with that. That's really the major thing. It will cost us more for each test to test that, $5 more. We're not going to affect, we think we can cover that because everybody's paying $5 regardless of the season, or, when they're in season. We think we can do that. And then you'll just see we've added a few of the other sports and different things that were left off from when it was reviewed last. Obviously, if volleyball's, anyway, we'll have to do it again probably this summer, but the idea was if we have a first read in January and a first read in February, that we could implement it during the spring season this year.
So is nicotine the only thing they're getting through vapes? I mean,
No.
there's marijuana and
Yeah,
all
there's
kinds
THC,
of, but
yeah.
we'll pick that up through
Yeah, we're gonna do
our
that
regular
anyway, but
testing. But
if I'm
nicotine's the
just flat
only
out-
thing we're not screening for that
Correct.
comes through vapes.
And again, remember the purpose of this is to get help, to get them help. And we have some great programs that Gary Allen, Bonnie Young, and others have been helping kids kind of zero down and helping parents with some resources to help them change so that it doesn't become to where, the nicotine's not good enough. Now I got to go to some harder things inside that. So that would be the idea, is to just increase that. Again, we might get some hits, and if we do get the hits, then we'll send them through the process of 2 weeks, for a first offense, and get them the support they need to help them improve. So
Just curious, does chew show up as nicotine? Not high enough density,
I believe I've heard Bonnie say yes on that.
Is there a communication to the athletes or to the families that now this is being tested for? Or
Well, there will be.
That's
There'll be, that will be, this policy will have to be distributed, and we'll highlight that piece if after 2 readings it's approved.
Certainly in the coach's disclosure.
Correct, but
That'll be
obviously, again, right now, spring sports haven't hit. It's kind of a 911. We probably should have done it earlier, but there just kept being a strong feeling that we should do this. But you're right, if you don't give notice, it's unfair. So giving notice, getting in disclosure statements, and then saying, okay, these are the rules. I think people play by them as long as they know that that's in there.
Yes.
How many how many are chosen each week?
Yeah, 15
At each school?
at each school,
Thomas has been chosen
grades
twice.
9 through 12.
That's how you know it's random.
It's a really good question.
Okay, are there any?
President, are you ready for a
I
motion?
am.
I'll make a motion this evening that we approve on first reading policy number 5291.
Okay, we have a motion by
I'll
Connie.
second.
Motion by Connie Archibald, a second by Brian Smith to approve policy on first reading. We'll just start with Wade.
Wade Hyde, yes.
Danielle Wright, yes.
Julie, yes.
Tiffany, yes.
Brian Smith, yes.
Okay, that policy passes on first reading and we'll bring it back next month. Thanks for working on that. I think it's a definite need. Okay, second reading. These are ones we had last month. Are there any questions or?
Move we approve the policies on second reading?
I second that.
Okay, so Nancy made the motion and Wade seconded the motion to approve policies on second reading. Wade,
Wade Hyde, yes.
Danielle Wright, yes.
Julie, yes.
Tiffany, yes.
Brian Smith, yes.
Okay, so those pass on second reading as well. Now let's go to board discussion items. This is, we're just our USBA conference report. I would just ask I think we'll just take turns going down the road because I think we all had something that we got out of it. If you just want to briefly share your thoughts and insights and something that you want to bring to our district or bring to the attention of all of us or something that it stood out to you, what you got? Oh, Utah School Boards Association. Thank you. It's our annual Utah. So all the school boards, there's 41 districts in the state of Utah. And so all the school board members, the superintendents, the business administrators meet and we have basically Thursday night, we have a keynote speaker and introduction and then business. And then Friday and half of Saturday, we have sessions that we go into, breakout sessions that cover different topics. And like the superintendent mentioned, he was the presenter in one of those sessions about policy and how we create policy. So it's a way that it's kind of like professional development for school board members. So it's very valuable, very valuable. So Michaela, why don't we start with you? You were there and I was so appreciative that you and your mother could come down.
Yes, I thought it was a great opportunity. It was good to get to know you guys more and see you guys outside of just this room. But I liked the breakout sessions. Some of my favorites were the teen center. That was very interesting to get to learn about. And then First Lady Abby Cox and her program and the Show Up initiative. But I also really liked the perception, and it was about media and the press and how to handle that. And just some things that he talked about, I was like, yep, I've seen that happen, or yep, I've seen that. So it was just very interesting to get to learn more and to get a new perspective on these things.
Thank you.
Okay, I thought it was a great conference. To go along with Michaela, I really enjoyed our state's First Lady, Abby Cox, and her presentation of Show Up. I thought that the district could really benefit from that in a lot of ways. And I know Brian and some of us were all in there together. I brought the information. I didn't know superintendent. I know we have some teachers that could go. There's the information here, and I didn't know if Jacqueline Whitaker wanted to be a part of it, or Catherine Allen in special ed, maybe Heidi Joe. I don't know, but it's really a very positive thing for kids. And so all the information's there. I just thought maybe they could check it out and go from there, because it helps so many kids. And it helps the kids that maybe need a little extra help. So I brought that to pass on. Okay?
It's my first time. Super exciting. I really enjoyed it. The one that stuck out to me probably the most was the keynote speaker, Clint Pulver, just because that his story hits close to home for my kids that they can't sit still. So I really enjoyed his that he talked about his teacher, Mr. Jensen, that changed his whole life by seeing I'm gonna get it wrong, an opportunity in his problem. And I thought it was really well done presentation, and it was a lot of fun. We all got drumsticks and our Lowe's buckets and found out which one of us have no rhythm. And I think somehow to spread that message to teachers and maybe have them watch the short, I think it was like a 3-minute video. I went home and watched it that he won an Emmy nomination for, or an Emmy award for. If we could send that to teachers, I think that would be maybe a little inspiring too, that that struggled child that drives them nuts will be something great someday too.
I was there, and I enjoyed Mr. Pulver extremely a lot too. So, but as far as
that's because you have rhythm.
yeah. Well, as far as show up for teachers, I wasn't able to go to that one, but I will tell you, this did start this past summer, and we did have a few teachers go, and not to promote the Superintendents of Rock Plus band, but we did play for the luncheon at this last year, and I think we tentatively have a invitation to play again at this one here. So anyway, if you want to go listen to us rock out, I know Heidi Joe will be right there. Anyway, I was impressed. Our foundation currently is, we're doing a great job. The Box Elder Education Foundation is doing a great job improving fundraising, and the whole situation is much better than it has been in the past, and great leadership and great members. But one of the things that we're struggling with is to find that real special thing to support. We've been supporting our food pantries and all those types of things, and so the teen center thing really interests me because the lady, Kristen Andrus, is actually, her husband and her own Traeger grills, and she was the one who was part of the Period Project last year that put Period products in all of our high schools. So now she's taken that and she wants to go forward and get the legislature, I believe, to go $50 million to schools to put $250,000 towards some sort of a teen center in each high school in Utah. And so with that, the thought is there are many kids there who in our schools who don't have access to laundries, they don't have access to a hot shower, they don't have access after school to a place to study. And so that I find that interesting. And Davis County School District Foundation is all over this and on top of this. And so I'm interested in maybe getting a couple board members from this board and also from the foundation board and going and looking at that. One of the concerns is, even though physically the money might come, then it's a staffing issue, and that does take money out of the general pot. And so I want to learn more about it, but that really kind of triggered my interest because I just know, we actually have a problem right now with a student that a teacher's saying can't come to school, can't come to class because they smell so poorly. And that student actually has an IEP, so we've got to work with that teacher to let them know that they can't, not allow that to happen. And so it is happening in Box Elder County, and it's happening a whole lot more than all of us realize, including myself.
I would say the thing that I went to some great sessions, but the Show Up initiative was one really that caught my eye, and not just show up for teachers, but the unified sports portion of that, where you, I just think that would be a real beneficial piece that we could add. And they said they have lots of help and resources and way to help us get that organized. But that, as I was sitting there, it just really, that was the thought that came to me. It was like, we need this in our district. And it's something that they have soccer, basketball, and track, which, we could just start with one of them, like the simple one. And what it is it's not just Special Olympics. It's taking kids that are not special needs and pairing them with those who are, and they all participate together and have this experience where they're competing and camaraderie and the thing. And I've just seen from my personal experience with my son and some of his friends, and just not that there are any special needs necessarily, but I just see the benefit of having that, being part of a team. Like the ones that aren't the star of the team, they're still part of the team and they love that. And if we could expand that more. So that was what I took away. I just thought that would be a value, and I think it would be a benefit for the lady that talked about it said that the culture changes at the schools. Like it has changed the culture of the schools to be more inclusive and for those things. So that's kind of what I took away from that one.
I have a goal this year I set myself a goal to be more involved in the legislative process and to learn more about that because I really don't know much about it. So I found the legislative process and the legislative hot topics courses were kind of exciting for me just to get involved. I'm sure you all know all about it, but I don't yet. So I'm about to.
Doing good.
My favorite was avoiding the pitfalls of poor public perception. And the presentation was just absolutely amazing. They talked about the value in having good relations with our students so that if they do say something that is inappropriate or out of line, that they seek out a trusted adult in order to talk to. We, in our district, we often say, see something, say something, which is what we really believe in, but they went a step further in this particular workshop. They said, we don't keep deadly secrets. And I wrote that down. I thought that is so important that as a student, if you see something that is going to be deadly, that you should not keep it a secret. You should go forward. You should say something. Then they mentioned how important transparency is and trust. There was just tons of things in this particular class that I found to be really, really wonderful. One of those was after action reviews. They're effective. Some people might call them a debriefing, where you go through after you've been involved in some type of action, that you debrief or that you have some kind of review to improve upon what has happened. And we've been really blessed in our district. We haven't had some things happen, but we know it's not if, it's when. And so it's important for us to have plan to have after action reviews after if something or when something does happen. Another comment that I found was really interesting is don't focus on the negative trolls and those who hate you. And we know we have some that don't care for us very much. And it's a very small group. But don't focus on that negative, focus on the positive and those that you are impacting well. So I thought it was a great class.
Thank you.
So I want to second Wade and Julie's comment about bringing some sort of, what did you call it, Julie, the sports?
The unified sport.
Unified sports. I just see that as being a huge benefit for improving mental health in our schools, for decreasing bullying. I could see our counselors partnering with that, where kids that are in counseling, that they suggest that they get involved in this program, and I could see it being a huge benefit. So I'd like to see that maybe through the foundation might be the best way to do that. So the class that I enjoyed the most, and when I signed up or decided to go to this, it's board unity, interpersonal style. I felt like our board is very unified. I didn't think we had an issue there, but I just kind of wanted to, for my own personal benefit, to learn more about that. And my wife and I spent a lot of time talking about this because we're polar opposites in how we think. it was a great way to see how I think, and I see myself at work. I see myself, in a lot of different arenas, and how I think about things, and how other people think. I wish I was a little better at reading how people are, because I knew Julie was like me, but because she's a mathematician. But anyway, that was a great way for me to learn more about myself and how to interact with others.
And Brian is analytical, and we all know that.
Surprise.
Surprise, surprise. Every time it's like, we need more data. It was a great conference. I really enjoyed it. Several of us did go to the superintendent's presentation on policy, and when I got home that night, there was a January 6th paper from a local school district down the way that's being sued heavily because the people that were involved in situations could not find the policies in the district and said the district would not give them or send them policies. The record shows the woman repeatedly tried to obtain information on the school district's policy responses, but she was met with unclear and contradictory responses, and she's being sued for a boatload of money, or the district rather is being sued for a boatload of money. So I appreciate the superintendent keeping us off the front page of the paper. And also, I did go to the Dignity Index that Tammy Pfeiffer is doing. This is an initiative that she's working with Tim Shriver, who is married into the Kennedy family and does the Eunice Shriver and all, and does the Special Olympics. And they're starting here in Utah, which I thought was very interesting. And she talked about what they're doing, and it's treating your opponents and others with empathy and dignity. And you can have opposing viewpoints, but you try and treat them with dignity and empathy. And I tried to emulate that tonight. Anyway, I thought that was I'm going to cry. I thought that was an excellent presentation.
It was. Is that everybody?
Oh, Dave.
There you go.
Dave.
So I really enjoyed it, and I appreciate your guys' patience with me because I realized that was my first time, and I was trying to make sure that I was where I was supposed to be when I was supposed to be there. I really enjoyed all of them. I thought they were all good. I will tell you that I left with a little bit of anxiety because half the breakouts I went to, I knew would cost us more money if we initiated it. So I was a little nervous, to be honest with you. But the one I did like the Pitfalls. I went to the Dignity one. I went also to the Legislative Hot Topics one. And I think out of all that, I think what I would like to do is, I don't know if you guys knew that, I can't think of his first name, but his last name is Moss. He's got a brother that's in the legislators.
Oh, Jeff Moss?
Was it
Jeff-
Jefferson is his
Moss.
brother's name. I can't remember
Legislator.
I can't remember the Moss guy that's on the state school board.
Oh.
Is it Jim? Yeah, it is Jim.
He's the new president.
Oh, is he? Well, anyway, he found me after that Hot Topics one, and I think I've got an assignment, so we'll be careful with that. But anyway, I just mentioned I found it really odd that there has been more push to have the URS or have the legislators reconstruct that statute that would allow school employees to come back sooner than a year when we have such a dire need for ESP employees. That would be great to have former teachers and superintendents and other people fill in those positions as paras in special ed classrooms or bus drivers or whatever, that we wouldn't look at some way to get those guys sooner back in without incurring any more retirement costs to the district. That a lot of these people would be willing to come back and drive a bus in their neighborhood just because those kids are people they know and they still love the education field. So he actually, those are kind of the comments I made there. And he came up afterward and wants to meet with me and talk about how we can work that through. So anyway, I hope I didn't shoot myself in the foot, but anyway, I thought it was really good, and I did take some notes on a lot of those, and I thought the PR one, the Pitfall one, was great. I would love to be able to find the money to have a public relations officer. I think it would help. I think it would help the foundation tell their story. I think in my perspective, it would help us in preparing for a bond and a bunch of other things. But all that costs money. So anyway, it was a good conference, and to be honest with you, I really enjoyed being around you.
Shockingly.
Dave, thanks for running around and finding our tables. and
Yes.
giving us those tables.
So there is a consortium of the big school districts, Canyons and Granite, and those that have, that have the PR people. They will work with us.
They will.
They'll happily get in. So we need to get involved with them if you want to use them.
Yeah. Well, thank you everyone for your reports. I agree. It was a great conference, and the ones like the sessions you were commenting on that I didn't get to go to, I'm like, oh, I wish I would have gone to that. So that's good to share those things. Or let's move on to our consent items.
I'll move to approve the consent items.
I'll second.
Okay, motion to approve by Nancy and a second by Brian to approve consent items.
Wade Hyde, yes.
Danielle Wright, yes.
Julie Taylor, yes.
Tiffany, yes.
Honey Archibald, yes.
Brian Smith, yes.
Nancy Kennedy, yes.
Okay, approved consent. And I just have to say on the personnel items, I am very, very sad that we are losing Creston Erickson as a Box Elder middle school band teacher. He is still, but fabulous.
And I might also add of what a tremendous effort he helped us to replace.
Did he?
He had 5 colleagues, some in various districts, some just coming out of school. With his support and effort, I mean, he has that special opportunity. He
Yeah.
lives south
Mhm.
a long ways. He's been commuting for 50 miles, but he was a gem to try to help us. It wasn't like he left angry. He loved us, and
Yeah.
he really just one of those things. But he helped find his replacement, which we hired officially today.
Yay. Well, and my son was in band. And he said he had 4 different people come and do practice conducting with
Yeah.
him, so I thought that was.
And I
was
remember Mr. Whitaker Lewis, he goes, wow, if you're ever going to hire a band teacher, let's do it mid-year. Because he said, I had 7 candidates that were awesome.
Wow.
5 that they ended up, zeroing in on, maybe 4 that actually came back for a second. So it was well done.
Well, good. All right, suggestions for future board meetings. I know next month we've got the school fees again and approval. We'll be talking, Wade will be in charge, and board committee assignments. The legislative update, and that's going to be, I think the legislative session is going to be, it'll be interesting this year. So I'm looking forward to updates on that. And when is the Day on the Hill? Is that before our next board meeting or after?
So Day on the Hill is February 6th. I'm trying to put together another meeting, so I've talked with Linda Hanks. Because they have torn down the state office building, there's no big room for us to meet in. They're going to have 2 sessions at different times, she said, in the big room at the Senate. And the only big room I know at the Senate building is that big committee room upstairs. So I'm not sure if there's another place.
Okay.
But she said there will be 2 different sessions, and she didn't give me a time. They're also combining it with the Student Day on the Hill. So the student performances start at 10 a.m. there in the rotunda. And so superintendent, I don't know how they're going to set us up when you try and set
I
appointments
don't know
with
either.
people.
I know Discovery applied, but I've never checked back with them to see if they are going to perform that day. So I've got to find out from there, but I don't know the logistics yet either. And just,
The kids are practicing, just so you know.
they are, so they did get.
I don't know. They don't know yet.
Oh, really?
Oh, they don't know yet?
They don't know, but they've been practicing as if they're
They're
going to
going
get
to.
to go.
Oh.
So their music instructor has taken groups of students there prior, and so she's
Do you
pretty
know their
confident.
music instructor?
Just a little bit.
What grades get to go? Is it like 5th grade that gets
Well,
to
it's
go?
just whatever they, Robert, what age group is?
It's all of the it's all grades in the elementary.
I just
There's
sent out an email to
first grade through
principals
5th.
and said, if you have something you'd like to, then here's the link to apply. And
Yeah. So Discovery Elementary has a
Yeah, they
group
did.
that's. Oh, that's
There
great.
have been some, over the years, there have been some, we've probably done this 6 years now. I mean, the Ben Lomond Bagpipe Band came in at 9 a.m. and you thought they were being attacked. And they came out of both houses to stand in the balconies and watch. It was astounding. But they had kids from San Juan. They had Indian dancers come up, all different choirs and orchestras and music and performing groups, drama groups. So it's really, because we want, as was said today, we want to tell our story. And we want our legislators to know what we're doing and what our kids are doing. And so we set this program up so that they could see our kids in action. So when we do find out, then every one of our legislators needs to be invited, brought in, dragged in, and introduced, not dragged in, gently escorted in. Take that off the minutes. Escorted in and give a chance to talk to the kids, thank them for coming, and say, so we need to make a big deal about our legislators being there to see these kids. And it's a great opportunity, and we get some really good traction.
Well, just FYI, every Friday during the session, the Joint Legislative Committee, and once again, I've said this before, but I'll repeat it again, it's members of the USBA, Utah School Boards Association, the Superintendent's Association, and the Utah Business Officials, or the Business Administrators Association. We meet every Friday and take action on a variety of educational bills. And because it's logistically so nightmarish at the Capitol, they meet every Friday at the Granite School District office, which is very handy. And it's every Friday from 11, I believe, until 1. They have lunch. It might be 11 till 2. I've lost my mind right now. Yeah. And so I drive down there every week. Usually Dave hasn't, but Rod did before. Nancy's gone down with us, Karen. But anybody who wants to go, I will tell you there's a group of us meeting an hour early. And so if in that case you want to go an hour early and just do some email or whatever, you're welcome to do that. But Dave and I could both drive down too at different times and take however many want to go to those meetings. And you're welcome to go anytime and learn the process and hear about the bills on, they try to vote yes or no and a reason why they support it or a reason why they don't support it. They used to have a variety of different things, but now it's just, we support that bill and here's why. And the legislators listen to that Joint Legislative Committee. They want to know if it's an education bill, why we support it, why we don't support it. And a lot of times if they bring the bill up early enough, they try to massage the bill a little bit and change some things to have it accepted by our community so that we can, then tell our legislators, hey, we're really in support of this bill, so please vote yes, or hey, we really think this thing's going to hurt us, so please vote no. So that's as Tiffany said, it's a great opportunity to just let me know, and between Dave and I, we'll get, between the two of us, that'd be 6 more people we could get there on any given day.
So the session ends on Friday, March 3rd this year. So our last JLC session will be the last Friday in February.
And when's the first one?
Yeah, when's the first?
20th.
20th, okay.
And Superintendent, I have a funeral that day I have to leave music for, so I will not be in the car. Sorry.
Julie,
You're so awesome. What?
can I just say a couple things about committees?
Yes.
Superintendent, first of all, I wonder if you could have Marcy send out a list of everyone in the committees that they're on, the current committees, so that everybody knows that. And if you could let me know if she could send it out in the next few days, if you could all let me know by February 1st, which is a week before our next meeting on the 8th, if you like being on your committee, if you want to change or whatever, if you would just let me know that ahead of time, I would appreciate it. 2 committees that will be open would be recognitions. And I'm more than happy to do those in February. Okay, so we can do those in February, but then we'll have that in place for March. And that can be, we can do that different ways. We can have one person do it like we've done it in the past, or we can rotate it and have a different person do it every month, or we could rotate it in a way that would split it, like one person could write them up and one person could present them. I mean, we're open to all options, I would say, okay? So recognitions would be one committee, and then also the foundation is open, and that's a really nice committee to be on. So if you're interested in that or any of those, please just let me know a month ahead, and we'll get it worked out by next month, okay?
I believe the foundation board meets quarterly. Dave, does that sound correct? I know you haven't been there very long, but I think that, and Gary's the executive director, so we could ask him, but so. Is it quarterly or every other month? It might be every other month, so, okay.
All All right, anything else we need for future board meetings? I think we've got,
Oh, and by the way, if you don't email me or text me or call me, I may be texting, calling, or emailing you. So
you're on top of it, Wade. Okay, upcoming events, we've got the NSBA conference April 1st through 3rd. And I'm sure,
I believe Marcy's been emailing you, hasn't she? And she's really interested in trying to get this thing wrapped up ASAP for.
Are we going a day early? Are we just finding?
I think we've got a variety of things happening.
I haven't
So,
seen any emails of like
okay.
options yet, but.
Okay, I'll talk to her tomorrow. She really, and you got to
Yeah,
know
I know
about.
she wants to.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's coming up sooner than later.
You bet. And she said,
Okay.
actually, airfare is pretty good right now compared to what it was even a month or two ago, so.
Soup, I think the hotels have been reserved for Thursday night through Monday night.
Okay, I do think she's done that.
Yeah, okay.
Or actually, no, Sunday night and flying home Monday.
Because the conference is over
Yeah,
half day Monday.
it's 1, 2, and 3, and it's a half a day on Monday.
Okay.
Yes. I'll have her, we'll work on that tomorrow. She actually going to a conference for the foundation tomorrow, leaving at 10, so I'll have to,
Okay.
down in St. George for overnight, so.
All right, and we don't need a closed session to discuss personnel, correct? We did that
Yes.
already, so. Board handbook, I think if you just need, like Danielle, that might be good, it's probably something I should review too. Just some of the things in the same ethics and whatever that superintendent did. It's just good to review those and know what's going on. But other than that.
Julie, can I say something real quick?
Yes, of course.
I forgot about this. But January is National School Board Appreciation Month. And so I did get sent with this basket from Park Valley PTO for all of you guys. Just to say thank you and that they appreciate all you guys do.
Oh, well, that's so nice.
Yeah, so.
So impressive. Thank you.
Also, at each of your stations, Dale and Connie Archibald have very nicely given us an apple from, what's the Rocky Mountain Chocolate Factory. So enjoy that
Thank
this
you.
evening.
It's kind of one of our traditions. It's important.
Oh, yeah. I guess that's up to are we going to read that book as a board?
Yeah.
I
So
do
we-
have, did somebody not get a book that night?
Well,
I
brought
didn't.
one home from Karen, and
Okay.
Tiffany brought one home from Karen, so we got books
Okay,
coming out.
here,
I would
pass,
love one.
pass that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll give you.
You got
Okay,
one?
I think
got
that's
one.
what you
Did
said.
you get one, Danielle? I got one. Who didn't get one? Oh,
I gave 3 to the soup because Wade and Brian weren't there. Wade, did you get a book?
Okay. This is my book, I think, I hope.
So I
Okay.
have an extra book we can get to you guys, and Tiffany has an extra book. Or Karen, I
No,
guess Karen did.
Karen needs one.
one of them.
Yes, we'll have one extra.
Okay, do you want me to take the one, extra one? Thank you.
And I think that's and I like Danielle's comment. That'd be great to get that message out to our teachers as
Yes.
well and show them that. So if you want to plan a reading schedule.
Okay, do you want to start next month?
Yes. Do you want to start? Yeah. let's
Do
get
you have
started.
I don't know how many
I haven't-
chapters.
I haven't even
Any
looked
idea?
at
Do
it.
you want to try to finish it in July or somewhere like
Yeah.
that? Try to break it up that way?
We've got to read our Christmas present too at some point.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's something I thought you could. Anybody started that? Of course, somebody said they'd already read it. Was it Karen?
I hadn't read it.
Yeah, it's.
I started the first chapter.
Looks like there's 12 chapters.
Okay, so.
We could do two a month.
2 a month, January, February, March.
I already started reading.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, we need a motion to adjourn.
Is it really engaging?
Unless y'all want to stay.
Has
Hey,
it- has it
Nancy
taught
moves to
stories?
adjourn.
I second that.
Wade seconds it, and
Wade-eyed yes.
Danielle Wright, yes.
Julie, yes.
Tiffany, yes. Connie Archibald, yes.
Brian Smith, yes.
Nancy Kennedy, yes.
Thank you.